You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters: David Flowers, Tony Groves, William Gibson, and special guest Kevin O'Keefe. Hey guys.
Hey.
How's it going, man?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Good evening.
All right, we got a big group tonight, and welcoming back Kevin O'Keefe. You were on our 10th episode. You reminded me. I actually went back and caught a part of it where we did an in-depth interview with you at that time, and thank you for coming back and giving us an update about what you're doing. Let's hear like that, an update. I know that you're a lawyer from Boston, and you're a heavy streamer. You were one of the first streamers out there that were doing iRacing, and a respectable iRating above 4,000. And lots of times, if you wanted to see top split NIS, you went over and saw Rutgers Kev on YouTube, and you have quite a following over there with a very busy chat. I caught your YouTube the other day, and it looks like you've moved on to virtual reality, and I guess you got the computer talking the chat to you. So tell us a little bit about that too.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I was streaming the iRacing NASCAR series as my regular gig. It was the only thing that I did on iRacing, and it was popular. I was get like 3,500 views every race. Like Daytona 500, sometimes would spike in that, like, tenfold in terms of number of views. But I suffered some burnout in mid 2016. If you go back and listen to your shows around episode 40, you guys are experiencing the same thing. The fixed setups were terrible, and that's the only thing that I raced was fixed setups. And just things got really, really busy at the home and work. So I quit. I was going to keep racing other series, and I just got, I'm kind of burnt out with this iRacing thing. So just at the end of December, I just decided to come back with the new season, and I drove 1 week, and then for Christmas I got a Oculus Rift. So I'm really, really enjoying the Oculus Rift. I think somebody else on your podcast has one too.
Yes, Will, you have one.
Yeah. I've only raced on a monitor for like a month before I got the Oculus, and I don't think I could ever go back. I think Kev could agree. It's a whole new level of realism that it's hard to replicate.
On the road side, I sucked. I mean, I'm really, really bad on the road side, and I never ever felt comfortable. I always felt like I was above the track as opposed to on the track, and I never felt like I had the proper amount of grip. As soon as I got the Oculus, boom, right away, I felt much more comfortable, and I'm running personal best on the road side in basically every car, every track that I run.
Right.
But on the oval side, I've only ran C-Fix trucks at Talladega, and I actually got motion sickness under caution. I don't know if Williams experienced anything like that. And then I ran the trucks at Phoenix, and it was fine. So I think it's just the high banks. I did change the settings in the I file, which they recommend in the virtual reality section of the forums. I did that before I ran Talladega, but somebody said that those settings hurt you at Talladega. I don't know if William knows anything about that.
I really don't mess with it a whole lot. I have control number 1 programmed to my will, which actually like resets the frame rate. Is the only thing I really mess with if I start to dip frames. And really, yeah, as long as I don't dip frames, I don't get any kind of motion sickness. But other than that, yeah, I just do the control 1 every so often, especially night races. I get some frame dip, and that's all I really do to kind of keep from getting that motion sickness.
Well, I have to try it some more. I just ran a 90-minute race at Suzuka last night, perfectly fine. I plan on running the Roar this Friday. I don't anticipate any issues, but Talladega under caution, I was starting to get motion sickness, so that makes me a little nervous. But mainly now that I'm back in iRacing, I tend to I want to focus more on the roadside, so I don't think it's going to be a problem. But I really love it. I used to have 3 monitors, 24 inches each. I can't see myself going back.
Interesting. So what about the thing where I heard the people who are typing in the chat is verbally spoken to you so you can hear it?
Yeah, I'm hedging on that based on the last video where the trolls came. It's really good if you have a stream with 10 viewers. You know,
Yeah.
once you get even to my level, I have 30 viewers. It gets to just be too much or open to abuse. So basically, I will give you the short version. In virtual reality, if you don't use any kind of other third-party programs, you only see iRacing. You cannot layer anything over it, right? So even if I was racing in 3 screens, non-virtual reality, I could just layer the Twitch chat over a section of the iRacing window, and I could see Twitch chat as I was racing, right? Unless I use a third-party program or I use the new Oculus beta, I can't see chat, right? And if I can't see chat, to me, what's the point of streaming? Because interacting with the chat room is a big part of my stream. So I have to figure out a way to get the chat to that I could hear it. So it's called Restream Chat. So what it does, it takes the chat from YouTube, Twitch, and it could take the chat from basically a lot of different locations, a Discord, a bunch of different places, and it makes it all in one place, and then you can make it so it reads the chat back to you.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So my main issue, again, I just got the Rift Christmas, so my main issue is getting the Rift set properly. I want to get 90 frames per second every time, even when streaming, and I want it to look good, and I want to be comfortable, right? So I think I have that. I think that's good. So now maybe I'll go to the Oculus beta and try to bring up that window and layer the chat in virtual reality, so I'll be able to see it without having the chat read to me, and that way I don't have to worry about what happened on my recent video.
Somebody was singing to you or something?
So I mean, it's funny, they weren't being that bad. They could have been a lot worse. But so imagine this, okay? I assume a lot of people who are listening right now are driving down the road in their cars, okay? So imagine this: you're driving down the road in your car, and then you suddenly hear, "Isn't it annoying when your cat wakes you up like this? Meow, meow, meow." Right? So that's what I had to hear as I was driving, in my GT3 race.
Yep. Trolls these days. Interesting.
Yeah. So again, the more popular you are, the more, trolls that you're going to get. But even if it's not trolls, I was looking at other streamers who are, at terms of my range, and the chat is, at a pretty decent pace, and you just don't want a constant chat in your ear the whole time.
Right.
I mean, you want to interact with chat, but you also need to focus a little bit on what you're doing.
Yep. All right. Looking at your stats, I pulled them up on iRacing. Your winning percentage is quite high at 4.5% on ovals overall. On road, 8.1% winning percentage overall. Pretty good numbers. And how many wins are you getting? I mean, I do see a few in the columns there, but not a lot recently.
Well, those numbers are inflated because on the road I run mixed class. So if I win my class, I get a win. So like in IMSA, I run GT3. You probably have 8 cars in your class.
Nice.
And for oval, I race iRacing NASCAR series. I think I had 4 or 5 wins in that series. So that's the only race that I ran. I ran iRacing NASCAR series Thursday nights at 9, and then sometimes the Sunday night at 9. So 36 races. And if you get a win, well, that's your winning percentage right there.
Yep. Yeah, I never thought about the class win thing.
So yeah, I'm not gonna pat myself on the back too hard. If you look at my road I rating, for a long time, my road I rating was like 1500, and then I got on a team, and they got me. Somebody on the team figured out what they were doing with the old Daytona prototype. the old one, not the new one. And that thing was, it was scraping the ground, but was fast, right? So I took that. I ran the full season in IMSA. I won the championship for my division, and I racked up a few wins there.
Nice, very good.
But again, that's all set up. But all those videos are on my channel. But again, those videos are from 2013, I guess.
Right. Well, very cool. And I also noticed there's no dirt starts. You haven't done a dirt road or dirt oval.
No, so yeah, so I stepped away from iRacing from June of 2016 all the way until December. So I just got back into iRacing. I also have a torn rotator cuff in my right shoulder.
How?
So I'm able to race, but it hurts, so I can see the idea of dirt to me makes my shoulder hurt, right? And honestly, it's not my style of racing. I like the big heavy cars. I do better in the let's put it this way. My worst oval car on iRacing is a street stock. I like the heavier car, right? So I like the heavier car that's planted, right? So I don't think I would do very good at dirt.
All right. And you have a unique perspective of you've gone away for that long period of time and you come back. And what has changed? What do you feel? Is it better? Is it worse? I mean, dynamic track has happened in that time frame. And it was broken for a long time and they recently fixed it too. And the tire model's been updated and all these different things have happened. The cars have been changed and tracks a little bit. What do you feel? Is it different or does it feel the same?
Well, you could definitely feel the tire model. I don't have enough experience on the ovals for dynamic track. I do like the visuals with the marbles, and you can see the dirt on the track, and you can hear it on your tires. That's cool. To me, I think the biggest change has been, as you know, if you go back in your archives around episode 40, I actually think one of your episodes is titled "Fix the Damn Fix Setups" or something, right? Because it was bad. I mean,
Yeah.
and morale was terrible. If you recall, remember when they made Dover's for the Irish NASCAR series 75% length instead of 50, and somebody posted on the forums like 3 days before the race, "Hey, this is wrong," and they did nothing. They didn't fix it, and they never ever even apologized for it afterwards. That used to happen all the time. There used to be, game breaking bugs, and they would have no comment. They would have no apology.
Right.
The morale of everybody on the service was just really, really low. And one thing I've noticed is they brought in Tyler Hudson to be somebody who interacts with people on the forums, and that to me brings in some positivity, because just to get the feedback, "Hey, we hear you. Hey, we're working on it." That's all we really needed. And honestly, ever since I got popular, being popular has some benefits. For those who don't know, I got to go to Skip Barber Racing School because of iRacing. iRacing sent me there as a thank you because I was bringing people to their service. Okay, so when you're at that kind of level, then you get a little bit more access. Okay, so I've talked to the developers, I've had conversations with them, and I've told them that this is what they're doing wrong in terms of the community aspect. And I brought up shows like yours and iRacing Today, and said, it's not right that for me to get the information of what's going on in the service, I need to go listen to a podcast that 99% of the people don't even know exists. And for the people that don't speak English, then they can't even listen to it, right? So for so everything is better now. That's what I'm trying to say. Things were really, really bad then. I think things are a lot better now. I think there's a lot of hope. I think we're going to get into some news later on in the show that's going to, even lead to more hope, and I can see the positivity in the forums. Now, maybe I just have it with rose-colored glasses, but that's what I think.
Yeah, it's definitely an upswing, and you're right. The support level, the responsiveness of the staff to issues is night and day different from it was, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. The stability of the website, we don't even talk about that anymore because it never goes down. Nobody realized that problem quit happening finally. But you're right.
Right. I used to call it a rain delay, and I used to put rain delay on my stream, and so because the service used to go down all the time. Now, you don't really have anything like that. Of course, we're knocking on wood because Daytona 24 is coming up. We don't want it to crash.
All right, cool. So people can watch you on your YouTube. That's where or you Twitch mainly, or what? And it's called Rutgers Kev. Rutgers is like after the college, right?
Yeah, that's where I went to undergrad. So yeah, in 2000 and what? Boy, I'm dating myself. So 2003, I was playing online poker. I had to come up with an online screen name, so I came up with Rutgers Kev because I can't think of anything funny or interesting, and so the name stuck. So it's Rutgers Kev on YouTube. That's the main place to go to. But if you want to just see me live without the edited races, then you can go to YouTube. I mean Twitch, twitch.tv/RutgersKev. I don't really have a set schedule right now. I'm going to run the Autobahn series every other Monday night. I just ran it yesterday. And I am going to run in the Major series. If you don't know the Major series, I would love to talk to you about it.
A Pacific Major?
It used to be the Pacific Majors, but now
I see.
now it's the Majors.
Aha.
They've changed it because now they have I am being a shill for it, but I'm very excited about it. They actually have 4 different series now for 4 different time zones. They have a time zone that's better for Europe, a time zone that's better for the Atlantic, a time zone that's better for the Pacific, and I think a time zone that's better for the Aussies. And each one is broadcasted.
Nice.
Right. So they have 16 races over the course of the calendar year, and they're all major races that are all basically full distance. So it starts with the 2.4 hours of Daytona in the old IMSA cars, the Audi and the Nissan, and then 2 weeks later it's the Daytona 500 in the Cup car, right?
Oh,
and then
wow.
it just goes on and on and on, like the Indy 500 and the Indy car, right? They're doing, any single major race that you can think of that's in iRacing is part of the series, including dirt.
Very good.
And the league is free to all. You can be a pro member of the league by paying money. I am a pro member of the league because I'm sure the cost of this thing is through the roof to have 4 broadcasted races. So I gave him money. And you have extra benefits if you're a pro member, but it's free. And what they do is during the week they have multiple sessions where you can set a time, and the fastest times go into the broadcasted race.
Very good. Yeah, I've heard of that. See information about those all the time. Looks like a pretty neat series. Let's get into racing and topics next. I guess Tony, you and William and I will trade off topics, and Dave and Kevin, you guys jump in whenever you want. Road to Bro is tonight, guys. Sonoma. I'm still on the fence if I'm going to do this because it is going to affect my oval I rating. I've been doing so horrible in the series that, I don't know that I need to run Sonoma, to tell you the truth. So I'm still on the fence. The race is coming up in about an hour or so, and I don't know if I'm going to run it. I know that one of our teammates, James O'Brien, is going to run it. He's been pretty excited. What do you guys think? I know, Tony, you're skipping.
Yeah, I don't have much choice. I don't have the track. Like I said, same song every week for me, but we're coming up to a few tracks here that I do have, so I'll be jumping in then.
I think if you guys are gonna skip out on it, I'll probably skip out on it. Just so I could get this thing posted to YouTube a little quicker. I I did some practice, and I just wasn't that comfortable as I used to be with the new A car changes. So if you
It's
guys are gonna
different.
sit it
It's
out,
harder.
yeah, if you guys are gonna sit it out, I'll probably sit it out, get this thing posted to YouTube a little bit quicker, so I'm not up all night. And I've been working a lot on setups for the trucks for Daytona, so I might focus on that a little bit tonight.
Yeah.
How great of an idea is Road to Pro? I mean, that wasn't a round before I left. I mean, one race a week, and it's split. It's perfect.
Yep. And
I
the new
mean-
version of Road to Pro starts at Daytona, where you have to run the trucks, and it's every other week. So it's once every 2 weeks.
I mean, one race a week. You know, it's open setups. I like to run fixed, but that's fine. You know, and it's split, so people with the lower I rating, you know, can still have great races. You know, hats off to iRacing.
I'm not running Sonoma just for the simple fact that I haven't really run the car on that track and I'm not comfortable, so I don't want to be a hindrance to everybody else.
Yeah, you need practice for sure if you're going to go out there. I ran a few laps of practice, and the car is different than it was last summer, for sure. I could definitely keep the car on the track last summer. This time I was struggling to keep it on the track.
Yeah, it's really hard to get the power down. I was short shifting just to keep from breaking the wheels loose, and a couple times I'd even be in third gear and be able to break the back end out from underneath me. So, the set we have was a lot better than the fixed set, but it's still not enough for me to be truly comfortable out there.
Yeah, so I'm on the fence. I don't know yet. We'll see. Let's get into GRC and other racing you guys might have done. I'll talk about mine first, because guess what? I got my second career win in Global Rallycross, this time a feature win in the C Series. I've been digging for that a long time. I felt like Chase Elliott out there with all the second place finishes, just wondering when my win was coming, and I finally got one. It was pretty uneventful, actually. I ended up on the pole, getting the whole shot, and leading every lap to the checkered flag, and I had no challenge. At most, they were 1.5 seconds back as far as being close. So I kept the gap, and it worked.
Yeah, I watched that race. Yeah, you just kind of check out, get a clean start, and just bring it home. No real mistakes. So it was a little uneventful to watch, but sometimes, hey, that's what it takes to win.
Yeah, a win is a win is a win, right?
Yeah, I would have loved to have been able to watch that too when you finally cross that finish line. I can only imagine the excitement you had after digging for so long for it.
Well, and I've been running a lot over the holidays here because I had some off time, and it was feast or famine. It was either like top 3 or I'm going to be wrecked out, usually in turn 1 of lap 1, and that's kind of how those races go. But I finally put one together. Looking at the points, I'm 22nd in my Division 7 in GRC. So just kind of watching that and see how it goes. How about you guys? Any other good racing you want to report on here?
I did a little bit just goofing around racing. I ran some Dallara Dash and the pickup trucks, but man, I really need this NIS series to get back. I'm losing focus, and when I do finally hit the track, man, I suck.
If it was easy, nobody would do it.
Yeah, I didn't get a whole lot of races in this week. I did a lot of practice for the Daytona 24, but I actually picked up a win this morning in a hosted midget race. I was second
Nice.
quick the whole race. Made a mistake going into turn 1 at Lanier. Third place dive bombed me and then wrecked the leader. So it kind of got lucky on that one, brought that one home, and yeah, so that's the only racing I had to do this week.
Well, congrats. That's a hard car. So if you can bring it home first, you're doing something for sure.
I haven't really been racing. All I've really been doing is practicing for the 24 hours because I'm going to be the first one in the car, so first 3 hours going to be fairly important.
Yeah, I ran some practice as well in the Ferrari, and it's a new car for me, the GT3. I think it's slow as a dog, is that kind of how I felt, and I don't know if that's just me, but I can get around the track without wrecking, so I think I'm okay.
Like I said, Mike, that's just you. They, like I said, they had to put out a patch because when that car first came out, it was that much faster than the other cars.
Yeah, what are you running, Kevin?
My wife travels for business, and she was gone last week. So I have 2 kids. So my racing time was, I didn't get the race last week, so I skipped. I'm running the IMSA series and the GT3 series. I'm both mainly focused on the Merc. That's my car of choice. So I skipped Spa, and I forgot where IMSA was. Okayama. But I'm still 30th in points in basically both series, which is even with a missed week. So that's pretty good. I did run the Autobahn Sports Car Series at Suzuka, so you can find the broadcast of that on the Global Sim Racing channel on YouTube, and that was broadcast on iRacing Live as well.
Oh, that's cool to get in one of those races. A lot of people see that.
Honestly, I mean, if you're looking for a league, why wouldn't you find one that's broadcasted? I mean, that's my advice.
Yep. All right, let's jump into topics. Will, you're first.
All right, so yeah, we got a comparison video here posted up of let me pull this up here. So I got my notes organized from last week, so this is a lot better than last week. So Drew Adamson posted up a really cool video of him running at Watkins Glen in the Miata. Half the screen is real life and half the screen's iRacing. And he puts a really good lap in and was within, I believe, like just a little over 1/10 of a second. So a really cool video showing real life to iRacing and the detail and how accurate the cars are.
These are always fascinating videos. I love it when people put these together.
Yeah, and the fact that they were so close in lap times, if I'm not mistaken, it was just around 1/10 of a second.
Actually, it wasn't even 1/10. It was 5/100th of a second on a 2 minute 11-second lap.
Yeah, no, that's impressive, and I don't know where he mounts. I assume he has a GoPro of some sort. Where he mounted that on his helmet, 'cause it's basically the same exact eye level as what he was getting in his Oculus. But yeah, no, just like the detail, and in fact, if you pay close attention to the real life, he actually has cars like right on him. So he's definitely getting it done out there for sure.
If you watch carefully, you can see differences in the scenery and stuff too.
Yeah, because they change the signage every year, and obviously Watkins Glen hasn't been updated. Imagine if his iRacing video was in like max graphics.
Right.
It's again, that's just another example of how great a sim we have. People talk about the cult of iRacing, and I'm definitely a member of the cult of iRacing. We're paying a lot of money for iRacing. Why would we race anything else? I mean, this video just shows you what we have.
Yep. All right, pretty cool. Check that out. You can search that in the forums. Cool comparison video. Next up, was something I caught in a forum that's closed that we can't share links on, so I had to get a screenshot of it. But there was a post about, hey, what has iRacing taught you? And I thought it was an interesting question to ask our group because there were some very interesting answers in that Facebook post. I'll read some of them. One guy says, iRacing taught me to be the point of the exact limit of my medication. iRacing taught me common sense isn't too common. iRacing taught me that I really like driving Miatas. iRacing taught me there are more idiots out there besides myself. So what would you say, guys, what did iRacing teach you?
I'll go first. I'm not going to give those funny answers. iRacing has made me a better racing fan. I've been a racing fan my entire life, but especially doing the NIS, being able to in the top splits, I actually have some ability to drive the car, unlike some people, right? But being able to control your car on the limit and have another car right there next to you, and what these guys do in real life at a much better level, and to appreciate what the aliens can do in this game as opposed to what I can do. I mean, the amount of car control that these guys have is amazing.
Yep. I was going to say iRacing taught me racecraft, the mechanics of how a race is run. Lucky dogs, wave arounds, uh, pit strategy, 2 tires, 4 tires, don't pit, pit, I've only ran 5 laps on these tires. Should I pit? That kind of stuff. I think I would have never known all that without iRacing, and I really feel like I've learned it very well.
Yeah, for myself, I'd have to say it'd be a combination of both of your guys' answers. Now um, I don't know. You could call me like a stupid race fan. I love racing. I, I I don't get into a lot of the particulars. I sit back and I watch it and I enjoy what's going on. And when stuff happens, I get excited. And when stuff doesn't happen, um, I get bored and go get a beer. Um, so kind of a combination of both what you guys said. Um, is what iRacing has taught me to kind of get more in depth and actually enjoy the in depthness of how far this stuff goes. It's a crazy rabbit hole. Um, that yeah.
Okay, Will, David?
I really don't have a good answer for this one.
Stumped you.
I grew up racing, and since I was probably, I don't know, 7, 8 years old, go-karts and stuff all the way till I was about 18, 19. And I did some other stuff in my life and got away from it. And it brought me back to how much I love racing. I spent a lot of time away, and about, I don't know, 5, 6 years away from racing just completely, because it was such a big part of my life. And I feel more up to date now than ever before as far as just all the news, different disciplines of racing. I just really got to jump back in from a new perspective. And we do pay for iRacing, but it's much cheaper than a real race car. So it just reignited my spark for and love for racing, and I'm in a good place right now. And I thank iRacing for that, and it just retaught me how much I loved it.
That's a very good answer, actually. All right, David?
I mean, it just taught me like how lucky we are, like, and how honestly, just man, how good technology has progressed and how it's so much like the real thing. I mean, I remember running, NASCAR 2 in 1996 on a, with a keyboard and not knowing the slightest bit of what I'm doing to having a wheel and getting around the track like you do nowadays. I never thought it'd be like this 20 years ago.
Yeah, progressed. All right, Tony, you got the next one.
Yeah, so this one is about the iRacing libraries of the week. This is posted on Red Bull Global Rallycross.com, and what they initially planned to do was highlight a single iRacing team, um, whose libraries had particularly impressed them. This week they said we're in a celebratory mood, so they're going to put the spotlight on 3, and it's a full page write up with the 3 teams, the pictures of their cars, and it's VEC Sim Racing and Red Face Racing and Fitzy Racing, and some great pics of all 3 teams. It's a really cool thing to do and really get it out there. They're really taking a hold of this.
Oh, yeah. And the paints are really good, too. So pretty cool that they're putting this up there on their website and featuring some of these iRacers paints. And you can get pretty creative with the way these cars are laid out, with these dirt cars. But we'll talk about some more in creative paints next. Will, you get the monster topic here. It's got like 20 links in it, but I can help you out if you need help.
Yeah, well, it should be okay here. I was very excited to see this news. Chili Bowl is coming to iRacing. So they announced that, I believe, Friday, Saturday?
Yeah, it's been trickling out over several days, lots of this
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, and they've kind of really gone all in. This week, obviously, is Chili Bowl. I think they start practice or maybe heat races today. There's over, I believe, 350 entrants this year. But for those of you who don't know, Chili Bowl is an annual thing. It's in Tulsa, and it's probably the biggest dirt race event next to Knoxville Nationals. It's all midgets, the USAC midgets, and yeah, no, there's a ton of information. So right off the bat, they showed 2 cars, one for Kyle Larson, one Christopher Bell, and they are just beautiful cars. Sponsored by iRacing. So we have that there, and
I mean, those paints. I mean, let's look at those paints. They are amazing. I mean, you can really tell they're iRacing paint jobs from far away. I mean, they really cover the whole car, so to speak. What do you guys think? I mean, they really came out good. And these are Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell, are stars from NASCAR.
Awesome. And the merch too. Awesome.
Yeah, and we're going to look at that too here.
Yeah, so along with those paint jobs, which you could see on the YouTube version of the podcast, I'll post those pictures up. We got some news from Steve Myers. They will be scanning and photographing the track this weekend. There was a little bit of worry about the flights getting canceled because of the blizzard back there, and but they got there in time. They posted up some photos of them at the track with that nice, fresh, clean dirt, not even raced on yet, so that was a really nice shot.
Now, for people that don't realize, this Tulsa, Oklahoma track has a roof on it, folks. A roof. This is like an indoor track.
Yeah, no, it's indoors. It's a fairly big building. And from my understanding of the layout is they have the track and grandstands on one side, the pits on another, and then they have like a shopping area and like a trade show. So, I mean, it's a week-long event for sure, and I'm curious to see what the helicopter and chopper view look like. So
the blimp. That's what I was thinking when I saw that picture. What about the blimp?
That and none of the dirt tracks have an external pit lane. But Chili Bowl is such a small track, they do have external pits. So you, if I'm not mistaken, come onto the track coming out of 4 and then go out going into 3. So I don't know if this will be the first track we get where we actually pit outside of the track. Is one of the things and questions that kind of came up in the forums.
So they started scanning it like 2 days before the actual event started. And they're going to scan it, I understand, throughout the event to kind of catch the track as it changes. It's pretty interesting that they're doing it during the, yearly event. Normally when they go scan tracks, like a pavement track, they do it when nobody's there, But this is kind of the opposite. And I guess that's because it's dirt, right?
Yeah, the track, because that track, I mean, it's indoor, it's small, and there's so much racing going on. It'll be grippy and really fast, then start to slick off, and then it kind of rubbers down, and you get a couple good grooves. So it's one they're definitely. I'm curious to see the logistics of it, but they're gonna really have to scan that thing quite a few times because that thing goes through so many transitions throughout the day. Then they clean it up because it's a multiple day event. You'll start the day with a great track, end it on a bad track, and then they fix it up overnight. So there's definitely gonna have to be a lot of work put into this because it is it's definitely changing. It's definitely gonna be probably one of the better dynamic tracks we get.
And it didn't take long before the painters put up some replica paint jobs of Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell's car. You can get it right for yourself right on Trading Paints. And so check that out if you guys have the dirt midget and want to run that paint. It looks really sharp, like I said.
Yeah, and they actually, I believe that was Colby Eye Paints that posted that up.
Colby Eye Paints.
And they also, I think just this morning, released a kind of a video showing the Chili Bowl Nationals. And it's actually really well done because they go from live shots to the sim.
It's
Now,
kind of hard to
obviously,
tell the difference too. I saw that.
yeah, they're not on the Chili Bowl surface because they haven't even scanned it yet. So if you look in the background, you'll see they're at Lanier and other tracks. But just like the way the car's rotating and starts to do a wheelie and it'll transition from real life to the sim is just, it's probably one of the most beautifully edited shorts I've seen yet. So they put a lot of time. I think everyone on the dirt racing community is really excited about this, and it's definitely going to be a great addition to the sim.
Yeah, Kyle Larson took to Twitter, "Hey, excited about this. Thank you, iRacing, for your support at this year's event. Hopefully, Christopher Bell or I can get it in victory lane." And as Kevin mentioned, there's merchandise at ourracewear.com. You can get Kyle Larson t-shirts, hoodies, and whatnot. And these are awesome shirts because they have iRacing on them, folks. They look cool.
Yeah, the iRacing T-shirts that you can get in the iRacing store are terrible. I wouldn't wear those in public, but these are really cool.
Yes. They say Kyle Larson. They have a picture of the iRacing midget car, blue or gray or black. It looks like there's also stickers and can koozies.
Yeah, Christopher Bell's got a pretty sweet shirt as well with it's an all black shirt.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be picking up the Kyle Larson one, being from California. Nothing against Christopher Bell. I just like Kyle Larson a little bit more, but they're both beautiful shirts.
Yep. Yeah, pretty cool, pretty cool. And the video they put out, like you said earlier today, you can get that at Twitter on iRacing. They posted it there. It's already got 6,600 views, but pretty cool, like an excitement kind of video about this new track. All right. Tony, what's next?
iRacing.com threw up a Twitter post. Mitchell de Jong undefeated in his 30-plus iRacing dirt road starts. That is freaking crazy. Like, I know this guy's good, but undefeated. How do you do that?
And I think he's the highest rated iRating person in dirt road right now. I ran with him in one race, or I ghosted a race he was in actually. And I don't remember the exact number, but it was way higher. It was way much more than everybody else.
Again, just shows how real this thing is.
Yeah, because he's an actual GRC driver in real life. He's running it every week.
Yeah,
And he's no slouch either. I mean, he ran the Formula One iRacing series the last few years as well, and ran very well there as well.
Just statistically, to do 30-plus races without being crashed on turn one is impressive.
I know. How do you do that?
I think that's getting to the top split, I think, is the key, because I don't do those races too often because I feel like it's either wreck turn one or you have a decent finish. But yeah, I think that top split's definitely where you want to be if you want some good, clean, hard racing.
Yep. All right, I'll take next topic here. The Roar before 24 is this weekend, guys. It's coming up. And iRacing put out on Twitter a little short video to promote the Roar before 24, and it was kind of a neat looking video. My problem with it is not the same cars that were running in the 24. I always used it as a warm-up for the 24, but they're running a whole different set of cars, and it doesn't make sense to me at all.
You had mentioned that last week. It is this since they went to 24 hours, the Roar has been these cars. I ran it in the MX-5.
Okay, so maybe I'm thinking of the first year we did it or something. I don't know.
I remember the Roar not being these cars, but yeah, since they went to full 24 hours instead of 2.4 hours, the Roar has been these cars.
Oh.
So just jumping ahead, I'm running the MX-5. I suck at it, but at least I suck at that worse than the other cars. And I'm just going to use it as a test for my Rift. I'm doing a triple stint in the 24 hours. So I'm just going to use it to see if I can, be comfortable with using the Rift for 2.4 hours.
Right. Yeah, it's a good warm up for sure. What about the rest of you guys? David, I would think you're going to run it.
I might not. I'm undecided. Also, another big important note: qualifying is going on all this week, so qualifying goes till Friday. I know they don't always put that out. Like next week, I'm going to be hunting for qualifying so we can qualify for the 24 hours.
Yep.
But it is split by iRating. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, you're just qualifying for the split you're going to be in, right?
Right. So while that's important, it's not the most important thing. Unlike the Indy 500, for an example.
Yep. All right, Will, what you got next?
So we had a question posted up in the forums.
Yeah, should iRacing add a "I'm not qualifying" button? He's talking about probably the GRC Rookie Series, where you have to wait 8 minutes for qualifying to be over before you can move to the next session.
Yeah, we have over 100 votes, and 74% said yes, 26% no, and I definitely voted yes on that one. Whether it's oval, road, dirt, they provide us way more than enough time to get our laps in, and there's a lot of downtime if even just one guy doesn't qualify. So I'm a definite yes on that. How about you guys?
Now the OP reads like he wants to be in a split with only people that aren't qualifying. The people who post later make points that when everybody hits it, then it should advance. Which, if you read the OP, that's not really what he's saying.
Yeah, good point. But the problem with if it was like we're just trying to get it to advance, so we don't have to wait full 8 minutes. There's going to be one guy that's, went to go get beer, and he's not going to push the button, and he's going to make us wait the whole 8 minutes anyway.
Well, I always like to go to the bathroom and get a drink before my races, so that's what I use it for.
Well, let's look at it that way. I mean, you rely on the fact when the start's going to happen, right? When you get up from your computer. So if this was implemented, it's possible they could go to grid when you're not ready, when you're still in going to the restroom.
Right, unless they offer this suggestion that everybody has to hit it. Which, I mean, I agree with. You have 2 minutes to grid, but if everybody grids, the race just starts. So I agree that if everybody hits the button, maybe the qual session should end. But I don't think that's possible.
I think they just need to shorten the overall amount of time given, like Will said. We don't need that much time. Look, if you can't get out there and run a couple laps at half speed and still get it done, in 4 minutes, so.
Yeah, and the one thing is, I say just flip the time with some of the practices. Practice gives you 3 minutes, and by the time you log in and load in, you barely have enough time to get up to speed. But then you get 5 minutes to qualify. If they flip those, you would typically probably get 3 to 4 minutes of practice and enough time to put in a couple good laps and kill some of that downtime.
You guys are looking at this with oval, views. Spec Racer Ford this week is at Daytona. You know how long that lap is, right? So you have to do the out lap, then you have to do 2 laps. Right? That can't be done in 5 minutes.
That's a good point. You want to have a consistent amount of time, or do we want it to vary by track?
I'd be in favor of it varying by track, but there's so much. iRacing is very inconsistent with where they put their information. I would hate for the people who aren't as into this as we are to be, okay, how long do I have? Do I have 3 minutes for this one? And I have 5 minutes for the next one? There's 3 minutes of practice and there's 8 minutes of qual. That's it. And it's going to start about 15 minutes after the hour.
Yep.
I realize on the oval side that sucks.
I don't know. I mean, I thought they should run on the GRC, they should run the heats at the same time. That would save us a ton of time.
That's true, but it's a server issue. You're all on one server. You can't be split across multiple
like
servers.
there's some technical reason why, right?
Yes.
Right. All right, Tony, what's next?
Well, we got a post up here. We are looking for 24-hour a day.
You can skip it. We're full. We're good. Already taken care of.
Yeah, this is a post by David Flowers looking for drivers. You got enough, huh?
We got 8 people.
All right, so we're all staffed up for our car. That's great to hear.
You have
Unless
8
I need a
you have 8 people
replacement
for
for you,
one
Mike.
team?
Yeah.
8 people for one team? Come on. This is endurance racing. Where's the endurance?
Yeah, where's the endurance, right? I'm running the least of anybody, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna go get a different driver than Mike. He don't want to run the same amount of time as everybody else.
I'm running 3 hours and then an hour break, and then I'm running 2 hours.
Man.
I'm running 3 hours and then I come back to finish the final hour. Actually, me, Will, and our buddy Chris are all running the most out of everybody.
Which you can. The participation rules allow what we're trying to do. So, if I recall, you have to run. Everyone has to run at least 25% of 25%. So if it's a 24-hour race, 25% of that is what? 6 hours, and 25% of that is an hour and a half. So an hour and a half is the minimum, basically.
Yeah, everybody would have to run 2 stints, basically.
Yeah, you got to run at least 2 stints. That's really the bottom line. So.
And we have that covered.
Yep.
Yeah, but come on, 2 stints. You might as well just sign up for any other race. Boo.
Oh, that's funny.
Who cares about sleep? It's a 24-hour race.
All right, we're ready to go. So, good job, David, on being team manager. You've done a fantastic job of rallying the troops. It's kind of like herding cats, is what I told you originally. But you've been a good as far as keeping on everybody, making sure they got the car, they got practice, and they're on the team, and all the little details it takes. So, so far, so good.
Yeah, it went a lot more smoother than I thought it would. Trust me. I mean, everybody did what I asked them to do pretty quick, and we got a handle knowing that everybody had a minimum of safety rating and everything. And like going back to what you said real quick about the information being all in a different place, I thought that 24 hours was a minimum of a C license, so that's what I was telling everybody to have, and we have that or better. So, and I come to find out later it was a D license, and it's just like, guys, you consistently put everything in the same spots.
I thought it's a D 4.0, which is equal to a C. Am I wrong on that?
Oh, okay, that's what that is. Okay, then yes, I guess that's equal to a C, which we all have. So.
All right, Will, what's up next?
So it looks like a Race of Champions is actually starting their own Race of Champions. It's presented by Logitech, and it looks like it's going to start next month. It's going to try to bring the best from the virtual and real world together to race.
That is so cool. And one of the guys doing it is the McLaren's world's fastest gamer, Rudy Van Buren, who won the contest to be the McLaren sim driver for 1 year. And he's going to be there racing none other than Juan Montoya, David Coulthard, Joseph Newgarden, Helio Castro Neves, and others.
And the iRacing GT3 champion.
Right. And there was a guy who was the Formula One champ, or I wasn't familiar with that.
Yeah, so the Formula One wasn't very popular here in America, and it was very gamey. It was a big turnoff to me.
Yeah.
You know, and we are going to talk about this later when we get to NASCAR. So, but as long as they make this seem real, I'm all in favor of it. But if Juan Montoya hops in the car and is yucking it up and crashing people on purpose, it's a big negative. But if everybody goes in there and takes this serious, then it's a big step.
As long as they don't put any jet dryers on the track, we should be good.
This is happening in Saudi Arabia, February 2nd and 3rd. And they have sponsorship. And Logitech is the sponsor of this whole thing. And guess what? Money is what makes these things happen. And this probably wouldn't be happening without Logitech. So obviously they're a big company for sim racing, and good job Logitech getting involved.
I'm sorry, you can go, man.
No, I was gonna say, like, this could turn out to be a really, really good thing. I mean, we're seeing kind of week in and week out getting a whole lot of exposure to iRacing and sim racing in general, and how viable it is moving over to the real world side. You know, I see a lot of good things out of this stuff.
Yeah, so the Race of Champions is a yearly thing, and it rotates around, and it's in a stadium venue. So this year it's going to be in Saudi Arabia. So they take top drivers from all different series, like Kyle Busch raced in it. I think won it last year. So they are going to take the real life Race of Champions venue and sim it into Stadio Corsa, and they are going to run a sim race with sim drivers and real life drivers. But I mean, it's going to be run the same weekend as the real thing, right? So if it looks like the real thing, it's really good. If it looks like a video game where these guys aren't taking it seriously, it's very bad.
Right.
Because, as we're going to get into with NASCAR later on, this has the potential to be a true esport. I think in the next 15, 20 years, real sports people won't even care about. It's going to be just esports. And if sim racing wants to be one of the esports, it's got to be respected.
And I would say, like, esports has grown so much, and racing esports is the only thing that really translates to real life.
Exactly.
You don't have people in jetpacks shooting each other in the military, but you have it in Call of Duty. League of Legends is nowhere near real. Racing as an esport is one of the few things where you could go directly from racing in the esport series to racing in real life, and vice versa. So if done properly, I think this is going to be something that will be much bigger in the future, because obviously the cost of real racing is so high and sponsorships are getting few and far between. And if you take away the cost of racing but still have the same thrill for the spectator and level of realism for the driver and the same challenge, I think it's going to be something that, yeah, definitely takes off. I feel like racing esports is a little slow compared to other games, but I think in the long run it has the most potential.
Well, what you're saying, how it translates, that's what we need. We're jumping ahead of ourselves. Maybe want to do that topic next, but if NASCAR Heat 2 becomes the game of choice, it's not going to take off, because NASCAR Heat 2 is a video game, right? But the skills transfer over from iRacing to NASCAR, as we see with William Byron, right? So they need to get that message across by having the right sim for it, right? If you're the top Madden player in the world, you cannot play quarterback for the Colts, right? If you're the top iRacer in the world, you can go out and win the Truck Series, and it's been proven.
Yep. Yeah, we'll get into that in a moment. I'm going to skip a couple of these in the interest of time. The next one is NIS participation credits. The thread has been taken down. But before it got taken down, I did read, guess what? They did put out NIS participation credits, I believe, last week. And guess what? It helped me buy that Ferrari GT3 car that I bought as well. So thank you, iRacing, for finally putting that out after how many years NIS has been in place without the participation credits. Now, I think I got $8 and I ran over the 30 weeks. I don't know what everybody else got.
Did I read this right, Mike? They were only giving you credit for season 4?
They gave us as much credit as you would get if you ran a 12-week season, yes.
But like season 4. So like some people already had their $10 of credits from other series and got nothing. I mean, that seems a little wrong.
Yeah, and maybe that's why the forum post got deleted by staff. It went south a little right after everyone started complaining about the amount of the participation credits. I guess from my perspective, I'm glad to get anything at all because we've never gotten anything. So I'm just happy with that. Now, is the amount right? I have no idea.
By the way, Mike, just to let everybody know, if you're wondering where your race participation credit tracker is, it is in your profile at the very bottom right of the page, right next to your mandatory participation racing statistics.
Nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, things iRacing doesn't tell you that you find yourself digging around.
Very good. Yeah, so check that out. If you've been racing NIS, guys, you might have got some credits. So what do you guys think about the amounts? I mean, it's a 36-week season. Shouldn't it be proportionate to what they pay out for a 12-week season?
Well, I think the fact that they pay out any credits for playing their game is pretty
ludicrous,
damn cool.
yeah.
So like I don't know. I couldn't really complain. No matter, hell, they give me 50 cents. Well, that's 50 cents that I didn't have before. And all I'm doing is playing and having fun. So, yeah, I'm cool with it.
I mean, $8, Mike. I mean, yeah, people are. That's like Tony said. That's $8. I mean, that's almost a month of free iRacing right there.
Yeah, I'm not saying, it's bad that they gave out credits. Of course it's good. But, you run a full season, but you happen to run 2 other seasons in season 4 and you get nothing. When if you didn't meet your participation credits in seasons 2 and 3, for example, it should be you should get your $10 if you didn't get a full $10 in the other seasons.
Yeah, I never got anything in the previous seasons.
I got credits for the first time, I think, last season because I ran every race for the limited late model series. I think it's cool they do it. I think it's a good way to drive participation in the other series. But they do have that $10 cap, so it sounds like if you ran the NIS and you are already getting credit, it hit that cap. So I think it'd be cool if they split it so like you could have a cap for running just NIS and a cap for the weekly series for like say the Silver Crown cars or the USAC sprint cars. But I don't know, getting credits is cool. I don't know why people would get upset because they never really gave a solid answer to begin with on how much and when. So
that's true.
No. They did. That's where the participation tracker comes in. Like right now through the off season, the only thing that you can get money on for the participation tracker is the Dirt Car 305 Sprint Car Series. You have to run all 8 weeks, and then you get however many credits that equals.
Well, I think the way it breaks down, if you run a car between, I think, D and C license, so say like the 305 Sprint or the limited late model, I think you get $4 per that series. So say if I ran every race for the 305 and the limited, I'd get a total of $8. And then if I'm not mistaken, B and A class series is, I think, $6 or $8.
Okay.
I can't remember the exact amount.
Okay, so it's $7 if you run the A or B class cars.
Gotcha.
It's $4 if you run the C or D. Okay, even though that adds up to 11, the maximum amount that you can earn is 10.
Ah.
So, but all that should be chucked away. They should do what they're doing for Time Attack and only give participation credits to certain series, like those series that are struggling, like the Camel.
Right. So they're trying to drive participation somewhere.
If I'm not mistaken, I can't remember. I think it's usually on the home page of the member site, which I usually skip over. They have like a featured series for the season where I think you get like $25 credits if you're at the top of that. I think they have the SCCA
Yeah, they have
Ford
something like
cards.
that. Yeah.
If you're the
So-
winner, but guys like us are not going to be the winner. I mean,
Right.
I'm in Division 1. I'm never going to win.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's something that I've done right. It could definitely help participation in those lower series, which I think is much needed. But I think this was kind of just a whole mess.
It was a great idea in 2013 when they started it,
It needs to be revamped. I mean, it obviously isn't designed for these long seasons, these 36-week seasons. And so they're kind of doing a workaround just to appease people because somebody on the staff said they would do it. And but they need to rethink this for the upcoming year. They should redo it and publish exactly, what the terms are. All right, Tony, let's keep moving. What's next?
Well, looks like it's a pretty big announcement on the GRC side of things. They're bringing in the Subaru car and short course off-road trucks. They've both been confirmed. Um, and that's pretty wild. Didn't expect to have so much so soon. I was expecting some more tracks and stuff, but some more cars and trucks. That is decent.
Please tell me it's the Robbie Gordon Stadium trucks. That would be awesome.
I wish I did a little bit more.
They haven't said, but I mean,
Yeah, they haven't said
it's
it.
trucks that run on dirt, so we can do the math here.
Yeah. Well, what this is, this was a big interview with none other than Steve Myers, the executive vice president at iRacing. And he had some points. It's a very long interview. It's at the Red Bull website at redbull.com if you want to check it out. But I'm going to read a couple points here. I'll help you, Tony, go through this. I'll take the first one. I'm going to read this quote. We have a pretty long list of requirements for building any car for our sim, and the GRC cars are no different in that respect. What was extremely valuable was having Graham Quinn, lead engineer for the Andretti Autosport Red Bull GRC team, and Scott Speed, three-time Red Bull GRC champion, involved in the development of the cars and the VW Beetle specifically. I'm not sure if we have ever received more information on a car than we did on the Beetle, because both of these guys are big fans of iRacing and wanted to see their car accurately modeled. It was a pretty long development process, and both Graham and Scott drove the car throughout, providing incredible feedback to get the cars driving as accurately as possible. Scott spent quite a bit of time driving the sim and giving us feedback right before the Indianapolis race weekend, and went on to pretty much destroy everyone that weekend. I sent Graham a message somewhat jokingly after the weekend saying that all that sim time must have helped, and his response was, that topic did come up in our debrief. This is the type of feedback that makes a development team feel really good about the job they did.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Of course, that would make them feel really good, and all that time spent behind the sim, um, obviously helped. I mean, we see that all the time. People talking about that real life racers, right?
Yeah,
So
and
another
it's so fun to drive these cars. I just love them.
I'm not even going to comment on my driving. You've watched me plenty. I still have fun though.
And then what
um,
else, Tony? A track?
yeah. Says in fact, I just signed our first European rallycross track. Won't be able to collect the data to build it until the springtime though. Um, they also have a few rallycross configurations in the design process and hope to have at least one new one in our March release. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting a track so soon. 3 months later. The final tidbit here in the interview I thought was interesting is he said, once we did all the dynamic track surface project, we immediately went right to work on dirt because all the engineers that created that technology were already up to speed with what was going on with the code. This led to dirt oval racing and GRC and leads to another exciting project this year with the short course off-road trucks. So, boy, I hope it's that's going to be so cool, those big trucks.
I think, yeah, we know now what the next step of the license is going to be. Seems like it's going to be rally cars and then the short course trucks. So
Yep.
hopefully that gives us a path to the A license on the
Yeah,
dirt,
that'd be B and A probably,
dirt road
right?
side. Yeah.
And Subaru's coming. That's a lot of big news there, guys. All right, let's get into the biggest news topic of the week. Will, you got it.
Of the year.
Yeah, so I haven't read up a whole lot on this, but yeah, I was checking my phone the other day at work and it says NASCAR is pairing to have esports events ran alongside race weekends. They're finalizing an esports venture that would stage racing-themed video game competitions during event weekends across the sports, starting this season, according to sources. And one of the funniest or best comments right off the bat was, "This better not be NASCAR Heat." So I think we're all hoping it's iRacing, but no official news there. But NASCAR is going to break into the esports world.
Now, there was another report from NESN Fuel at nesn.com, which we've quoted before, and they say it's going to be like this. The trackside tournaments reportedly will be held in haulers and run on 2 platforms to accommodate fans of every skill level. For the casual gamers, there will be competitions on NASCAR Heat 2, which is the officially licensed game for the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. But NASCAR will also have tournaments for advanced sim racers utilizing iRacing. Well, it sounds like they're going to do both.
Sounds like they are, and that's going to give people a very warped perception, especially if they're using NASCAR Heat 2, because I'm sorry, that the game is terrible, even for a NASCAR sim.
Well, I don't think it's going to give any kind of warped sense of anything. I mean, they got to throw NASCAR Heat 2 and the developers of that game a bone because it's their that's their flagship console game. The real bread and butter of this whole thing is going to be the iRacing for obvious reasons, but it kind of leads into like what Dale Jr. was talking about, a fourth NASCAR league. Um, yeah, this is awesome.
Well, look at when the Peak Series, it wasn't called that at the time, started. If you go to NASCAR.com and you go to standings, there's Cup Series, Nationwide Trucks, and the iRacing NASCAR Series right there. It was the 4th officially NASCAR series. It's not there anymore if you click on standings, but that was the idea. I mean, this is a little early with the information, but the potential here is huge.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they just have haulers with NASCAR heat rigs just for fans to jump in and have a little fun, and then run the peak drivers on iRacing and that be the primary competition.
I kind of read it as they just it's just, behind the grandstands and the fans walk up and stand in line and they can run and sit in a iRacing rig and race.
Yeah, again, really, really early. But, I mean, so, okay, I am a developer of NASCAR Heat 2, okay? I've paid money to be the officially licensed game of NASCAR, okay? Am I really going to allow my product to be presented side by side with iRacing and go, hey, look, this is the video game and this is the real thing. This thing is obviously better than your crappy NASCAR Heat 2. I think there's a business side of this that's a little sketchy.
Yeah, and I haven't been able to find a second source that said iRacing would be used as a second platform. Only this one website has said it, and they don't quote anybody.
I'm NASCAR Heat 2. I'm the officially licensed game. but I'm not as good as iRacing. At the track, I'm not too sure about that. But, what I could see happening is NASCAR Heat 2, being front and center with the simulators the fans could do, and then on big screens run the live right then, run the Peak Series race.
Yeah.
See that right there is exactly how I read it. The trackside stuff would be all the NASCAR Heat 2, and then I never thought of the broadcasting on the big screen, but the other side of it using the iRacing, just not because they said for the advanced sim racer. Well, you know, I'm sure a lot of them go to the races, but a lot of the guys standing in line are going to be wanting to check out NASCAR Heat 2. Um, but I really like that whole idea of broadcasting a Peak Series race right at the track.
Pretty cool. Lots of neat ideas going around about this. Parker Kligerman, as you might know, is an NBC analyst. He's won a truck race here or there. He posted about 10 different tweets with some his opinion about this, and I'm going to read some of them because I think they're interesting ideas. He says, I believe if it is not done with iRacing, it's a misstep. There can be two simultaneous competitions, but iRacing 1 should be the Cup Series of the e-racing league. Then you get teams, drivers, sponsors to, quote, own teams. Then they take the live broadcast of every race and post it to their social media, creating a reach that would be quite large, exposing new eyes to the series and making eSports NASCAR a destination eSport. Also creating a talking point amongst drivers and teams on real race weekends about how their E-team did, and building a bona fide interest in the races and the drivers of their favorite real driver teams and sponsor teams. So he's saying, let's tie the two together. Let's have a Chase Elliott team, that runs the Chase Elliott colors and whatnot in the sim or something like that. I think that's what they're talking.
Or have the Hendrick team.
Right.
And it doesn't even have to be Napa. It could be another sponsor. It's another way to get some revenue for Hendrick, and have Hendrick pay the driver.
Right. And his last point, Parker said, lastly, the only way it is truly successful is when an NASCAR driver is able to make a living doing it, hence destination series. The prize money / salary compensation must be a number that increases with league growth spread throughout to create a viable product. For NASCAR and sponsors and real-life drivers, it should be considered a marketing expense of the sport. With the incredible small barrier of entry compared to real racing, the opportunity is there with an insignificant investment. Potential for growth is very large, bringing eyes.
Right.
And I'm not going to read the rest of them, but obviously he's got some really good ideas about this.
Right. And it has to be presented as real. It can't be presented as a bunch of nerds in their basement.
Yeah, exactly.
They need to take these top sim drivers and bring them to the track on certain occasions and go, hey, this driver is not as good as Denny Hamlin, but he's close.
And put it on the big screens for all the grandstands, like an hour before the real race or something.
Well, that would be a pipe dream, but there's so much of the business aspect. I don't have. Has anybody ever been to NASCAR race?
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the back of the grandstand is just one big marketing tool, right? So, is the sponsors of the race, the sponsors of the track, really going to give up space for iRacing? But if on Saturday afternoon is the Nationwide series, why can't the Peak series then be Saturday night?
There you go.
It doesn't have to be specifically on track.
Right.
If it's presented as real, if it's presented as these skills matter, it can be on Fox Sports too.
Right.
But it has to be presented that way, and it has to give off the impression. If I encourage people to go look at the F1 eSports, and you'll see that it wasn't presented the same way.
One more tweet I have from our runner-up in the Peak Series this year, Logan Clampett, who's a friend of this podcast. He put on Twitter, so this esports thing is interesting. If they don't use iRacing, it's going to be god awful. This rumor could be big for some of us in the sim racing on the oval side. Can't get my hopes up yet, but this sounds pretty dang cool. Wishing the best for this to happen.
Well, obviously he does, because it's got the potential to make some money.
Well, that's the thing. The guys in the Peak Series are really sitting in the catbird seat with this announcement. You know, if anyone's going to get something out of it, it's going to be those guys.
I feel like it's a good time for it to break through too, because we finally have a dedicated path to the Pro Series. You have the Road to Pro running every other week of the Peak Series, and then the off season has the Pro Series. So I feel like they have everything in line on the sim now to have a nice, simple, understandable progression to the Peak Series. So yeah, it would really be a huge step back for NASCAR and esports if they don't use iRacing. I feel like they have everything in line with the sim. NASCAR just needs to step up and do it right.
And then take it to the next step. If it gets really popular and 10,000 people want to join iRacing, that's 10,000 new steering wheels. If there's 10,000 new steering wheels, there's going to be a lot of companies making steering wheels, which means the cost of steering wheels will go down, which means the barrier to entry is going to be lower, et cetera, et cetera. This is nothing but good news if it's done right.
Yep.
And the sponsorship opportunity as well. If you're a Hendrick fan and you know, like, their up-and-coming guys using a Fanatec wheel or an AccuForce and they're promoting that on their car, there's a huge line of revenue and potential there. I feel like iRacing gives that no other sim out there can.
Yeah, this is amazing news. That NASCAR is really working on this, and they're going to do it this year. So let's just hope they do it right, like everyone's worried about.
I'm also hoping too that at some point I know you said the NASCAR Heat 2's on the console and everything, Tony, but I mean, when I think of console racing, I don't think of a NASCAR game. I haven't for years. They need to make iRacing the official racing game of NASCAR and just keep it on PC where it belongs.
But nobody wrote NASCAR a check for that.
Exactly. I'm sure they told iRacing that you could be the official thing by paying us X amount of money.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, like, it'd be nice.
Well, NASCAR needs to bite the bullet and realize what's best for the overall project is what needs to happen.
Plus, I mean, a lot of the good drivers coming into NASCAR right now use iRacing as a tool. They speak proudly of it, whether it be C. Bell or Will Byron.
Yeah, Will
Kyle
Byron.
Larson
I mean, he's our next star, in NASCAR.
And I hate to say it, if you have the 4 series of NASCAR and the guy wins the championship using a DualShock 4 playing Heat 2, no one's going to really take that seriously. They have to use NASCAR or iRacing, sorry. If they don't, that's just a huge missed opportunity, not only for the sim, but also NASCAR.
Well, the other thing I was going to say about that, though, too, especially, you were talking about different streams of revenue for NASCAR. That's big, too, because, the current sponsors are starting to dry up a bit, and NASCAR, this would go a long way to helping NASCAR with their "we don't have a problem."
Or butts in seats or eyeballs on TV problem, right? The ratings, the TV ratings. Yeah, this is a good idea. That's probably why they're doing it,
And again, let's take a breath. Yeah, I think we all need to take a breath, because racing was at its most popular in the 60s and 70s. And why was racing its most popular? It's sad to say, but because a driver died almost every week, and now NASCAR is safer than ever, and the popularity has gone down. I think that, I think it's going to take a lot of time for people to ease into sim racing. There's no danger, there's no engine noise, You know, it's going to take some time.
Yeah,
Well, we all know the competition on the iRacing side is probably better than in real life. I mean, we've had drivers say that. Kyle Larson has directly said that before.
and that's the other thing though. Some of the sim racing on there is so good. Just watching everything is just so good.
That's what I do. I watch the Global Sim Racing Channel and RaceSpot TV. I watch those races at work.
It's good stuff. I mean, if you're a race fan and you enjoy like the proper part of racing, yeah, you're not going to beat watching iRacing, that's for sure. Let's keep moving. We're running out of time here. Next topic was a post by Tyler Hudson. Guess what? We're getting a patch at the end of this week or the beginning of next week that will greatly improve the overall driving ability of the dirt street stock. I also read somewhere else that they were going to fix the getting stuck in the wall at Knoxville problem as well in this build. So be expecting that, guys. Let's jump into hardware, software. Tony, you're up first.
Yeah, I guess seems to be some pretty big news about Intel's processor chip. There's been a fundamental design flaw that has forced a significant redesign of the Linux and Windows kernels to defang the chip level security bug. Programmers are scrambling to overhaul the open source Linux kernel's virtual memory system. I have absolutely no idea what that is. Meanwhile, Microsoft is expected to publicly introduce the necessary changes to its Windows operating system in an upcoming patch Tuesday. These changes were seeded to beta testers running fast ring Windows Insider builds. I guess the long and skinny of it, the effects are still being benchmarked, but they're looking at a ballpark figure of 5 to 30% slowdown depending on the task and the processor model. That is really huge, but I believe it's not as big as the post kind of sounds like it is. From what I was reading down further in the post from guys that are probably much smarter than me at interpreting this stuff is for iRacing stuff, we probably aren't going to notice a whole lot of difference.
Right.
But for other things, I don't know. I guess we could call it more technical stuff. Maybe it's those guys will feel that hit.
Yeah, and I watched a podcast about this and got a bunch more details, but the bottom line, guys, you need to update everything. Your Apple iPhones, anything iOS, anything Windows, anything Linux has to be updated. Now, the Microsoft update for me went through last night. Make sure to update immediately. This is a huge bug where people can take over your computer if they do certain things. And your iPhone and whatnot. And Apple released 11.2.2 yesterday to fix this particular issue. But it's called, what did they call it? They had some weird, funky name. Anyway, I forget what they called it, but it's a vulnerability that basically attacks anything with an Intel processor. Is basically the way I understood it. And that's practically everything out there.
Just about. Although it is kind of funny at the bottom of this post, if you look all the way at the bottom, somebody made a meme. It says Skynet approves this post.
Yeah. So one of the biggest loopholes out there I've ever heard of that affects more users than anyone I've ever heard of, any kind of hack. But boy, update your stuff, guys.
I was reading a bit of the news behind it, and apparently, this has been a dark little secret for a number of years now, and it finally came out to light.
Yeah, it's been in place for a while, and the guys like Microsoft and Intel and Apple and all those people have been working on the fix for some time, but the news just went public here recently, and they actually went public premature about a week before the releases were going to be ready, and there was kind of some hubbub about that too.
I'm sure the deep ops have known about this for 5 years and been hacking into the Russian and then the Chinese servers. So
and the other part of this is, as you alluded to, is the fix is to affects performance of the PC, and you will have a decline of performance. They said no matter what. Now, how much? It depends on what you're doing. But the way I understood it, unless you're like, rendering video and you have a big video editing kind of suite computer, those are the guys that are going to be affected. Or the guys running Linux servers, like internet web servers, they're going to be the ones getting a 30% hit. And so it's going to affect the internet in those ways. People like us with personal PCs doing gaming, we're going to get the 5% effect, and you won't notice it. The other thing I heard on the podcast was over the next 6 months to a year, these companies will change that release to make the performance better. They just had to get something out to stop the hole immediately. And so we expect updates from Microsoft and so forth that will bring that performance back, hopefully, to where it was before.
well, the new chips won't have the flaw in it, but I think we're stuck with what we got.
Yep. All right, next up is Joe Baldwin, one of our listeners, sent this in. Thank you, Joe. He sent in a few days ago a link to PC Gamer that said basically HTC is going to release a higher resolution Vive VR headset this week at the CES show in Las Vegas. And sure enough, earlier today, BBC put out an article that it's been announced. They call it an enhanced version of the Vive virtual reality headset.
It's $800, and iRacing is partnered with Oculus. Oculus is the headset to get if you have iRacing. Next topic.
You're
That's what
not
I
a fan?
say. I mean, I'm a fan, but I mean, iRacing is specifically worked with Oculus to make it look better on the Oculus.
Right.
So, you can do what you want, but I would get the Oculus for $300 as opposed to the $900 one.
Well, and a few weeks ago, there was a forum post where a lot of these Vive users were actually having problems making it work with iRacing.
Yeah, iRacing got the developer kit from Oculus really early and specifically worked with Oculus to code the sim so it works better with Oculus. So if you're doing iRacing, and this is an iRacing podcast, you should get the Oculus. If you're doing other kind of VR stuff and you want the higher resolution, then you can get the Vive.
There you go. All right, Tony, what's next?
Post on the forum about replay conversion. I guess there's a quick button to do it, and that button would be Control Shift Alt V. Now you also have to pick what type of file you're converting it into, and you can do that by your app.ini file, and you go down to the video section, and it will say screenshot file format. That is completely wrong. It is the video file format, and you can pick between, looks like MP4, WMV, AVI2, and AVI. That's kind of a neat little shortcut that I had absolutely no idea about until today.
Control Shift Alt V, and that will save a replay into a YouTube compatible file.
Yeah, that is a totally way better way to say it than what I did, but yeah.
Okay, well, I just paraphrased what you said, so yeah, so check that out. I didn't know about that either. It puts the video in a folder under My Documents iRacing Video, so look for it there.
There's a lot of cool things people are doing with their replays now that it's easily saved, and they use some editing software to put chase cam and the higher up camera and their cockpit all on the screen at once. Very cool.
Nice. All right,
Oh,
William, what's
sorry.
next?
So we have some one of the iRacing staff members, Daniel Garrison Jr., ask what people do with their AccuForce 2 when they're not in use, and if there was any official recommendations on what to do, whether you turn the wheel off, unplug it from the RJ cable. So there's some discussion about that. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to really read through what the best option is, but
I read all the feedback, and it's across the board. I mean, everybody does something different. Some people leave it on all the time. Some people unplug it every time. Some people unplug the wheel. Some people unplug the little cable between the wheel and the base, because when it powers up, it spins one way and spins the other, and that can mess up that cable that hooks up the wheel to the base. And so, yeah, there was really no consistent answer.
Yeah, that's something that hopefully someone from AccuForce speaks up, because I'm sure there is a definitive way of doing it to minimize issues and parts failure. I have the G29, and actually the power went out the other morning and went back on fairly quick, and I woke up to my wheel cranking around, and I guess all wheels do that. So yeah, I'm sure there's a right answer out there somewhere, but I couldn't tell from this post.
I mean, what about you guys? You leave your wheel on? I think I don't have a button, so mine's always on. You know, I think it turns off when I turn the computer off, but I'm not certain.
I have the Fanatec Club Sport wheelbase, and if you let, it's basically a computer where if you leave it on, then you're gonna lower the life of it. I mean, it makes heat, so you need to turn it off.
Yep. All right, well, check that out if you have an AccuForce 2. There's lots of ideas. I found this other okay, so next topic. I found this company called OpenSimRacing.com, and it consists of 3 iRacers that put together this company, and their main thing that they sell is little metal joint pieces for 80/20 cockpits. So if you want to build an 80/20 cockpit and you want to make it a little bit easier, you can go to this company and buy all the joints, the joint plates that attach the two 80/20s together from this company, and supply your own 80/20, your own hardware, bolts and nuts. And then they give you the plans for the cockpit as well, as far as how to put it together and that kind of thing. Very, very interesting business idea. So like one of these cockpits is priced at $216. Now it's not the entire cockpit, remember, it's just the metal joint pieces and the plans is what you get for that price.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of what they have is do-it-yourself type stuff to just kind of help somebody who is a DIY guy but doesn't have the time to go fully in depth, or yeah, no, a lot of it, because I'm actually looking at their wheel hubs. They have some really nice stuff there as well. So
yeah, if you want to build your own cockpit but you don't want to have to design it or cut out the specialty parts that is needed, you come to this company, you buy the package. It's really cool. If I was doing a cockpit today, I'd be looking at this because I always wanted an 80/20 cockpit.
I think the pedal arms are the coolest part on the site. I'm not a DIY guy by far. I think if I was a DIY guy, I'd want to do it myself. Why am I paying $200 for plans? I'm going to design it myself. But if you go to the pedal section of their website, they have like Logitech pedal arms you can attach to your G29 pedals. Pretty sweet.
Yeah, they look nice.
yeah, it looks like they have wheel mod kits as well for the G27, G29 as well. So if you wanted to run a different wheel, it looks like you buy this kit, assemble it, and you could swap your wheel out if you want to get a bigger wheel for those. So a lot of really cool stuff here.
Yeah, paddle kits. They have a CNC machine, obviously, and they created all these parts. Pretty cool. You guys check it out. It's opensimracing.com. It's a pretty nice website. There is a little blog about who they are, and they are some iRacers that kind of got together and put, this business together, and it looks pretty cool. All right, what's next?
So it looks like Asus showcased some ROG bezel-free kits that hide the bezel. So if you're running triple monitors and you have that bezel gap there, these look like they use some kind of refraction to cover it up. And actually, they posted a picture and it looks really good. You could definitely tell something's there, but it takes away from that big black bar cutting down.
It's almost like a glass prism that you run along the strip between the two monitors.
Yeah, and it looks, I mean, they're obviously going to make it look nice in their photo, but it definitely looks nice. I don't know how that's going to affect an iRacing depending on like the angle you have, and because I know you can adjust the angle in the sim of how the monitor, like the monitor in front of you and the angle to the ones on the side.
Well, the
I don't know if
bezel
that's
correction,
adjustable.
yeah. You do bezel correction to kind of get rid of the gap, so to speak. Yeah, how will it affect that? I don't know. But it's an interesting idea.
It's a cool idea. I'm waiting to see how much it's going to be.
Yeah, I don't want to see a YouTube video of it in action kind of thing, and see what it really looks like. So more on that, it's a brand new product apparently.
And
Yeah, this thing
no
is
price
is-
announced.
This thing is really cool looking. Now I'm only running, 2 monitors, but the way I got it set up, I got to be honest, I don't even really notice the bezels.
Yeah, you tend to like tune them out after a while, right? And you don't even realize it.
Yeah, so is it the same when you're running the 3 like yours, Mike?
Yeah, I don't notice it. It doesn't bother me in any way.
No, it's almost as if like the way it lines up, the bezels on my monitor are kind of like my um uh roll bars.
Right. Yeah, the window post. It kind of lines up good for the window post, right?
Yeah, yeah. Now I don't use my double screens for anything else like that, but maybe if I was onto some other game and just using this 2 monitor screen where the bezel's right in the middle of my view, I could see where that would really be nice.
All right, that was final topic. Let's get into final thoughts, guys. David Flowers, you're up first.
Just practicing for the 24 and can't wait. That's all I got.
All right, very good. Tony Groves, what do you got?
Oh, another week where I don't have the track. I am really getting tired of saying that, as I'm sure people are getting tired of hearing it. I am just dying for Daytona 24 to, Daytona 24, the Daytona. I mean, let's get this NIS started. I've had enough of the off season. I want to race. Looking forward to the new season. Um, that's my rant.
It's coming. All right, William Gibson, what do you got?
Nothing special here. I've work slowed down for me, so I got to do a lot of practicing this week. Not a whole lot of races, but I'm excited for this upcoming season. I've been working really hard, trying to learn as much as I can to do some setups for the trucks for the Road to Pro series coming up. So that's really what I've been really focusing on, and I'm excited for this upcoming season. The 24-hour race is going to be definitely fun, but after that's going to be kind of time to get to work and hopefully get some wins this year.
All right, very good. And Kevin O'Keefe, thank you so much for coming back. You're certainly welcome anytime. It's good to get caught up with you and what's going on, and you're back to streaming and stuff, and I'll be watching. So what are your final thoughts?
Thanks for having me. As you might be able to tell, I love talking iRacing. If you also like talking iRacing, there's a lot of cool Discord servers out there. So I'm running the Daytona 24 hours with Either SimSport, ETHER, simsport.com. They're actually a European team, and they're recruiting members. They have a cool Discord. It's right there on their homepage. Shout out to Grip TV Nation. They have a Discord. And it's all iRacing talk all the time. Also, a shout out to the iRacing Today guys. Another podcast that talks about iRacing. They have a Discord server where you can talk about iRacing all the time. There's also Mike's Setup Shop. There's links in the forums. This guy's a streamer and he posts his setups and they're very good. So check out Discord if you are interested in more iRacing talk.
All right, very good tip. I have yet to get on Discord. We're kind of old-fashioned over here. We use TeamSpeak, and that's pretty much it. But we might have to check that out. Thanks, Kevin, for coming on. My final thoughts, boy, I am so glad to get that GRC win under my belt. You know, I knew I had it in me. It was just a matter of getting a bunch of starts, you know, and eventually it would fall in my lap, and that's about what happened. I'm not real fast out there, but I am competitive, and I seem to have something on the starts at these GRC races that the other guys don't have, and that seems to be the key to my success. So hopefully I can keep that going. I'm also ready for NIS, excited for the new year. I'm a little worried about how we're going to handle setups and that kind of thing, and hope our anonymous donor will continue to assist us as we go into the new year. We're trying to grow the team too. We had a new recruit contact us today. David, thank you for following up with him. And but we are growing. You know, if I'm in TeamSpeak and nobody from the team is in there, that means we don't have enough people. I want people in the TeamSpeak all the time, 24 hours a day. That's how big our team needs to be. But if you want to run with us, let us know. And
also, I just want to quickly shout out. I don't think we mentioned it, but a team member, James O'Brien, actually picked up a win at Sonoma in the A car. So I think we missed that earlier. I just wanted to congratulate him on that before we finish
he's
up
our
final
big
topics.
hope tonight for the road to pro. I hope he can do well. Congratulations, James. That was a good win as well. And I guess that's it. We'll see you later.